call the meeting to order at, what, 9?
I wrote 9:33 a.m. That's what
33
it's
a.m.
on my
That's
board.
what
Yeah, that's on it.
So Cindy's absent, Cindy's absent. Those are the only ones that are absent. I don't even know who's on the board anymore.
All right, call to order, roll call. Secretary's report, did everybody read it? It's very concise this time.
I'll make a motion to accept the secretary's report.
All in
All in
motion.
favor?
Aye.
Second.
It was unanimous, okay.
Shoot, I got two things.
That's all right, we haven't done it.
Oh my God, I'm so bad.
Treasurer's report.
Okay, we spent, $3,898 last month, and I'm happy to say that the gas bill came down. Is it on here? It was $515 in May, the one for June is $140.
Yeah, because we're on summer gas.
Summer
Did you
gas.
read the bill?
Yeah,
Seriously?
I did.
They make me laugh.
They're on summer.
Summer
gas.
gas, yes. There's a difference between summer gas
Well, they're
and winter
supposedly at the
gas.
gas
Or rough
station for your
insurance
car,
summer, I don't
they do a switch right on the season. Different dinosaurs, I keep telling you.
That's right.
So we have a balance.
Well, Jim, you remembered it was on.
You're on TV too.
We have a balance of $6,273.44, which means we're doing really well for the month of June. And I want to add another thing. This is a real wing in a corral. The sheet from the town. They've installed a new system, a county system, in both accounting and the treasurer's department. This report is kind of, I don't know what to tell you. They made it up in front of me, and it's kind of a mess. As you'll notice, is it on here? There were things floating into it from other departments, like I think it was labor salaries that floated in. So go with my figures and not these figures, because a lot of the, if you see the transactions, a lot of these figures are wrong. We don't have $15,000 in there. Things have not been deducted from here. They're still in the process of putting the system together.
You do have the damnedest time with our financials.
And we're also having problems right now getting bills paid, as everybody is. Everybody's having problems, and for us, and for everybody obviously has vendors. We have, Walmart, we have all these places we gotta pay. The checks are going out chronically late, and the worst part of it is they're also chronically late for people that we pay for our programs. Yoga, Tai Chi, some of these people haven't seen checks in 3 or 4 weeks. And I've gone back in my files to find out when the things have gone in. They've gone in at a very timely basis, but every time I go in on Wednesday to pick up the payroll checks, there's no checks for me. I go back the next day, there's no checks for me. I go back early in the week, there's no checks. So it's a lousy situation right now, and our vendors are getting antsy, and I don't blame them, because a lot of these people, this is what they do.
Do they give you any reason as to why, what the problem is? Is it the manpower, or is it?
I don't know if it's manpower, John, or if it's nobody seems to have an answer. I know Marcia was complaining to David because she wasn't getting her checks out in a timely fashion. Who worked the polls? Did you? Did you get paid?
Yeah.
You got paid?
It took several weeks this time.
Okay.
Usually it's within the week.
Because Marcia's having trouble with her checks going out too. So, we're all complaining about it, and we're still, what I'm hoping is that this week, I got a few checks released a couple of weeks ago for Tai Chi and for yoga. I'm hoping this week there's going to be a pile of them for me.
If you don't mind, there's no selectmen's meeting this week, is it on the summer schedule? At next week's meeting, I attend all the meetings. I'm gonna bring it up as a problem from us,
Yeah.
not the town in general. The other departments have to attend to themselves, but
I
I'm gonna
mean-
bring it up that our providers are not getting paid in a timely manner.
Because for Tai Chi, for yoga, I think it's just them. I pick up the checks for them, because they come in on a, they come in every week, I hand them the checks, because there was a book, because sometimes we sent checks out and they never got there, or whatever. Happened a couple of times with Mary Beth Doobie, the exercise person. So, it's getting to the point where I'm getting frustrated because they're getting frustrated, and the last thing I wanna see is these people leave us.
Yeah.
Right.
So they should get, if they put on a class this week, they should get paid the following week. Is
Well,
that how it should be?
I'd even be happy if they got paid within 2 weeks. It's used to be within 2 weeks. Pat would come in tomorrow and do yoga, and within at least 2 weeks. It never came the next week, but if it would probably come in 2 weeks. It was always 2 weeks. Now it's 3, 4.
Well, who's responsible for this, doing that in the first place?
Accounting.
Accounting?
Yeah.
Did we get a new accountant or something?
No, he's been there for a while. But
Mike, right, Mike is the accountant,
David, Mike is treasurer.
treasurer, okay, yeah.
Dave Grapp is
But
the
he's,
accountant.
but he's part-time, he works 2 days a week.
So how can they do anything?
And then the
Well,
other
there's a
thing is,
full-time clerk there, right?
right, but there's a perfect storm now too, because they're closing the fiscal year, as you said, Jeff. They're closing the
Yeah, that-
fiscal year, so there's a perfect storm going on.
Well, you've mentioned it to Dave, you said. You talked to Dave Flaherty about it at all?
No, Basha talked to Dave
Basha.
Flaherty.
I'm gonna bring it up at
I
the
was hoping when I went
selectmen's meeting.
Friday that I'd have checks. I didn't have checks again.
I'm gonna bring it up at the selectmen's
And
meeting.
then for example, the Walmart bill. The Walmart bill went out, I think it was something like May 1st, May 2nd, when I went back and looked at my files. And then the next Walmart bill comes in, and the money that should have been paid
Still over,
was still owed.
so it's
And I
at 30
saw it on the
days behind,
warrant,
right?
and I saw it on the warrant. I saw that it was listed on the warrant to be paid. I mean, I don't want us to lose our credit cards, I just don't want to fool around with this. And I'm getting very frustrated, for all of it, but particularly for the vendors, the little people. Not the gas company and all these other, the little people. I mean, I wanna pay everybody, but I'm getting very frustrated for the
Well,
vendors.
I mean, I know the gas companies can well afford it, but nevertheless,
Well,
we
yeah,
like to
they need to be
maintain our
paid.
reputation.
Yeah,
That's right.
And our credit
the
rating,
TMLP, and everything
whatever it
else.
is.
All right,
okay, that's it, I'm done venting.
Do we have any discussion on the treasurer's report other than,
Motion to accept.
Don't look at it, turn your eyes away.
a second.
okay, all in favor of accepting the treasurer's?
Aye.
Aye.
Did you second?
I'm gonna get Peggy now.
Does it matter?
Peg?
Okay, now we'll have Peggy come in.
No, not you, it's okay, Peggy. It's all right, no, it's all right. It's okay, it's all right.
The number one thing you learn in business, you don't mess with people's paycheck. That's over and above anything else.
Isn't there a federal law that protects your paycheck? People, don't they have to pay you within a certain
So
range
there
of
is a state,
time?
there is a state law.
The paychecks, you get your check
Oh,
every
yeah, we
week.
got our checks, they were late.
So it's not, what do you mean,
The first week they did them, they were late,
your
paycheck.
paycheck,
Yeah.
really?
Half of the
Good morning.
Wait, hi.
Good morning.
Good morning. Is it good? It's raining, but it's
Yeah, I was
nice.
gonna say, yeah, we can't seem to get
No.
more than
Because they
2 in a
need to
row.
find out too, we're gonna do them.
No.
They haven't,
I got a couple of them.
Oh, do you can give one to
dirt
Pat?
over there, land, but it.
Thank you.
Never know how many you're gonna be here.
These are the weekdays.
Yeah,
Crap out there.
that's okay.
If there's a late ball game for them.
Oh, yeah. Or a late anything. May, okay. Total visits, 25. Doesn't seem like much, but it slacks off in the summer. People, I don't know, they go away. It's not that they don't have the needs still, but they're more mobile too. They can get out and so forth. I went to this HBU meeting. See, under meetings, HBU stands for Health Benefits University. And what it is a review of everything to do with Medicare. And it's good that I have it every year because I mentioned in the last paragraph that I always learn something at HBU, always. Kathy Devine came out. I don't know if Liz mentioned it when she was talking. Did you give her?
No, I didn't.
Anyway, Kathy Devine, she's from Prescription Advantage. And I think I explained to you guys what it is, Prescription Advantage. It's not a drug plan. It's a thing in Massachusetts, a program that allows benefits in case you fall in the gap. In other words, if you go over the cap and drugs, it's a wonderful program. And we've tried very hard to promote it here. Liz has written articles, I've written articles. We've had Kathy out. We had a pretty good group for Kathy's talk. She's very sweet. Her name's Divine and she's really sweet. Anyway. All right, so I put the first paragraph, I just tried to give you a little idea. When I do the shine total for the month, they give me an estimate of what I saved. Remember last time I gave you a rundown of what Mass Health, the guidelines for, yeah. Well, this will tell you if I get somebody, if I apply for somebody for, let's say, Prescription Advantage, you credit them with about $1,500 savings over, I don't know how they figure this out. But at the end of the month, I add up what I possibly could have saved for people. So I added it up for the last, what did I say, 3 months, I think it is.
April?
Let's see.
January.
Through a four, yeah, it's a grand total of $61,000 possible savings for these people. It sounds very inflated. I don't know how they come with these numbers, but I mean, that's what they say.
That's just for Raynham?
That's just for Raynham, yeah. And the month of May, approximately $20,000. And this is the breakdown for May. I got 7 or 8 prescription advantages. I enrolled a couple in Medicare D. I did 4 plan searches. I applied for Health Safety Net, which is part of Mass Health 2. And we applied for Mass Health 2, and those are high. Actually, yeah, those are pretty high, $1,300 per person. Anyway, it's a figure that sort of gives you an idea. It's pretty nice. It's encouraging.
If I can digress just one more.
Sure.
I tape 60 Minutes every week. I don't always get to watch it right away. I was doing some catching up last night. There was an interesting report on drugs, cost of drugs and so forth. They interviewed the former mayor of Chicago. And they're one of the towns, like a lot of companies do it, Raytheon used to do it. They're self-insuring. Rather than, they have a company who administers the paperwork, but they pay the bills. Well, the town was on the verge of bankruptcy because this one drug, just one drug, was being taken by 2 children in the town. They used to pay $87 a vial for it. The company raised the price to $100 and some odd $1,000 per vial.
Yeah.
These kids had to take the drug every month.
And it was a necessity, yeah.
So they were spending $250,000 a month on this one drug for these kids. And then they dig into what's going on. Now we all know the drugs are totally inflated. And you go to Canada and buy the same thing, like the price that you pay for an over-the-counter drug and so forth. And one of the companies that they really talked about, and we used to have that as our drug supplier in my medical program, or the towns, was Express Scripts. Because not only do they, administer all this stuff and ship the drugs out, they own a company that is responsible for distribution of certain drugs. So they pick up a hit there.
Yeah.
They own another company who is responsible for packaging of drugs and so forth, and they pick up something, and it just went on and on and on. There's suits against Express Scripts and a number of other companies for doing this kind of stuff. It's just unbelievable. And what I don't understand is, we have to go through all this rigmarole, the suits, and it's in court, and they countersue. Why isn't it why can't someone just say, stop doing that?
Right.
This is ridiculous. It's just unbelievable.
State.
It's unbelievable. And Congress, there was one about this, the increase in price was in the thousands of percent to go from, $87 to $110 or whatever. And one of the reasons they can do that without limitations is, I guess, and I don't remember all the details of it, Congress passed some bill that doesn't allow the Congress or the country to stop them from doing that. It's just like, holy Moses.
Well, they say companies can do
It's
anything they want.
unfixable.
You did a couple of Canadian things.
Well, I had a couple of people come in who got their drugs in Canada, and I said,
Go up with
I don't have anything
suitcases.
to do with it, but good luck, because,
It's just, and I know I digress from the report, but
That's all right.
it blew me away. It just
Well,
blew me
when
away.
I see people, it blows me away. How about that, that EpiPen that used to
Yeah.
cost nothing, and then it was what, $100 or something
Yeah,
like
he's
that.
in jail now,
And
if I remember
because people
correctly.
need that, that's
Yeah.
life saving.
David Schroeder.
And it doesn't, and I don't think it happens this way in Europe, does it?
No.
Is
I
it
don't
anywhere
know.
else in the world? Well, plus they take drugs in Europe that it takes us forever to approve.
And that's a shame.
Yeah.
It is a shame.
That's a shame because there's so many people that could use it. Critical cases, who cares if all testing hasn't been done? They're gonna die probably anyway.
Wasn't there just, I thought I read something
suffer.
where the president just signed some bill to allow people to take
Oh,
these
yeah.
experimental drugs and,
Yeah.
and
I
the
hope so.
Medicares and so forth would pay for it.
I hope so.
As it had some fancy name like Last Hope or Last Chance type
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing, but,
It's like with marijuana and these kids that have seizures.
Yeah.
Marijuana helps seizures, and it was
Yeah.
illegal for a long time. And these little kids were they wore helmets and they had seizures all the time. As soon as they took this marijuana, part of it anyway, the part that helps with the seizures, they stopped the seizures.
that drug that I talked about with the big increase and so forth, once the heat started coming down about all that, the company tried to show that this drug was also useful for other diseases of the elderly, okay? And, they're talking, they're interviewing these chemists, these doctors and chemists and so forth, and they're saying, it has nothing to do, well, why did doctors prescribe it? Well, this doctor, one particular doctor, and obviously they don't name him and so forth, or they hide his face, he would be given thousands of dollars to go to speak at seminars and so forth about this drug and so forth. Had no benefit to these people whatsoever, but they were trying to justify, well, we're doing research to see if it's useful for other diseases and so forth. We're trapped in the middle, folks. I don't know how we get out of this. How do we get out of it?
I don't know.
Anyway,
I was gonna, Jeff, the last paragraph is gonna just show you about these Salvation Army vouchers. This could become something good. I just got an interview thing on the mail in the email showing for the Salvation Army people how efficient this is, and it said, do the people in your community know about Salvation Army? And I put no, they don't, because I'm kind of hidden in my office, and I've said it a few times in the newsletter, but it's time that I wrote an article about it.
Yeah.
Because people can come in and it's another avenue for them to get a few $100s toward, for instance, their light bill or their fuel bill when fuel assistance has closed. And as my director at Salvation Army, Tim Beglis, came in the other day while I was interviewing a veteran. And the veteran was needing fuel assistance, and for some reason, I don't know if he's over income or something, I forget what, he couldn't get it. And Tim said to me, well, he can't get that, but maybe could you give him a voucher for some food? And I thought to myself, I never even thought of that. So actually, Tim just said, just write him a voucher for some food. It is usually $25. I guess Tim said, write it for 50. I have a little.
Raynham resident, right?
Yeah, I
Send him
have
to
a
the food
little
pantry.
leeway.
That's right.
I think he already goes, I think, but I
Okay,
mean,
good thing.
I have more leeway with this than I actually knew. Because you know me, I'm kind of rule oriented, do X, Y, Z, don't do, A, B, C. But he's kind of, ease up on yourself, and if you think someone really needs something, he's a veteran, and.
Right,
Yeah.
but do you want to publicize it too much? I mean, well, what I'm saying is,
No.
are you afraid that you're gonna get people, what is the criteria?
Well, it's pretty loose. It's
Okay.
pretty loose. There is no income criteria. It's need-based. They have to say what their income is.
Okay.
But the awards are pretty low. It's $100 toward what is it, TMLP, I think it is, and $200 for fuel. It doesn't go very far, but it's a little something. It's a little
But when you
something.
say they're very loose, the criteria is very loose.
They've listed it all in the booklet. I'd have to read them all out
Is
to
it-
you.
is it
I have to
less-
do an interview.
Is it less intense than, say, fuel assistance?
Yes, oh yes.
Oh, okay.
Fuel assistance has definite income guidelines. This is not as definite.
Okay.
It's
And
like,
can they come more than once?
they can. I'm not sure for the same thing. They
So
have
they
to
can come for fuel, they can come for food?
it's a lot of it's up to me,
Yeah, it
which I
is.
didn't realize before, and I don't mind that. I don't mind that, except that if one person who comes in for a benefit heard about somebody else that,
Exactly.
you know, got three
Right.
benefits or something, and that could be a
So
problem.
they don't have a specific, like you just said, I mean,
Income
yeah,
guidelines.
well, no, I mean, 25 or 50 or, you know,
Yeah,
it's
on
like,
the voucher, you can't do any more, you're supposed to do $25 for food, but
Okay.
he was the director, so he said,
Right.
give him.
because what I'm thinking is that if this guy, like we said, mentioned something to somebody, he got 50.
Yeah, I
and
know.
somebody comes in for 25.
And
you know,
well,
they're
I'm
gonna
gonna
also-
say, yeah, you're gonna have a problem.
Well, then I'll refer to my
Yeah,
director,
sure,
he's the one who
right.
told me to do it. But
Few things
anyway,
are like that. You know, at the food pantry, we have, income guidelines also.
oh
But we
yeah,
also have a directive that says anybody who comes to you and says they need
you
food,
have to,
you
Yeah.
gotta give them food. So,
Exactly.
you know, the guidelines don't really mean a lot. but-
it's not like that with fuel, they're very
Oh, yeah,
picky
fuel
with fuel.
assistance.
If you're $1 over, you don't get fuel assistance. Anyway,
Oh, you wanna show them
Your hand.
it's getting better.
What was carpal tunnel or?
No, it's, trigger fingers.
Oh, okay.
These,
Oh, yeah.
these fingers, I've got them on the other hand too.
Well, I've got 'em
And they
too.
stick, and both these
Don't do that, it
fingers
makes my skin
and
crawl.
these fingers,
Is
and
that
then,
what it-
so, I decided not to have any anesthesia, I just had it with, with
A local?
local. And I went in a full operating room, my hand's out here, and there's a tent over
Drinking
me.
coffee.
They kept saying, "You all right? Are you all right?" I mean,
Yeah.
he shoved me full, but it didn't heal right. It did not heal right. He had to take the stitches out early and stuff. It's nothing.
You know, do you
Piece of cake.
ever work with a nurse? A nurse comes into your office and says, "What do you think about my hand?" I want a second opinion, so I take my glasses off so I can get really close. She said, "I don't like that bump there."
Yeah, I didn't.
And she said, "It's kind of swollen too." I said, "Is it hot?" And she said, "Well, no." And I said, "You better call the doctor." And this is like Friday, a couple of weeks ago
It
on
was.
Friday. And she said, "Well," I said, "Peggy, it's Friday.
Yeah.
They're not going to be there. You're going to end up in urgent care. Call your doctor."
It was a
So
holiday.
She calls the doctor, so she texts me
Oh,
the next
jeez.
morning.
Good thing.
Good thing I went.
Put me on an antibiotic and took the stitches out and said,
You were
"So
allergic
good."
to the stitches. Yeah.
Oh,
Anyway,
wow.
it's small, very small.
Do we have any questions? Or,
I make a motion to accept the report.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you,
Um,
Peg.
Peggy, I have a question for you. We have a neighbor who is, if you looked for her house, you couldn't find it because of the weeds and everything growing up. Do you know who she is?
Maybe, is
Up
she
on
on-
my street, do you,
On what?
North Main Street?
I think I know.
Well, we are concerned because we haven't seen her. We see her car in the driveway and everything, but when there's no sign of life.
I know someone who talks to her on the phone. I
The same
see her.
person.
Familiar with this place, with
Yeah.
council, yeah, she talks to her on the phone frequently.
Still
She's
does.
got her antenna out for this lady, but this lady won't let me come in.
She won't.
No,
That's what I was concerned about.
not yet anyway, we'll see. I'm building a relationship with her over the years, and maybe I'll get there, but I'm not sure.
We used to shovel her out and mow her lawn and everything, but she used to help mow, but she doesn't do anything.
No, she's
My
crippled
husband's
now.
not
Is there
in physical shape for that.
is it a dangerous situation in terms of access to the home?
Only in the winter, if there's a big storm.
Okay, there's
No,
no,
she-
there's no like overgrowth or.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there's the whole thing, I mean, you can't see.
In
the
other words,
house.
would you be able to get into the home?
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, because the driveway, there's a
Okay.
driveway and you could get in from there, but we've been concerned and I told my husband.
Someday I should go up and knock on the door, it's a little hard to do that. It's a little hard to do that with somebody, if you already know there's.
Yeah, she's very,
She's alone. And how old is
she has she has
Ladies.
several children, but one lives out west somewhere and another one's, I don't know, Rhode Island or somewhere, and I don't think
She
it's
still
a good-
drives,
She's still driving?
drives a car.
Okay.
Be different if she didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she refuses help in the home.
She does.
Talked to her about homemaking, I've talked about Meals on Wheels. So she shops, and she hasn't lost weight that I can see. Anyway, I see her occasionally, she comes in here to visit me.
And the person who is keeping an eye on her isn't.
She goes over to that person's house.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So far, it's not an emergency
Not a critical
situation, but it could be any day.
Yeah, I mean, they can't, and if they refuse either
Well-
access or help, you can't do anything.
No, that's,
Unless
And once in
here.
a while, we push
Yeah.
somebody, but not very
Right,
often.
well,
Anyway.
all right, so our next item is the director's report.
the return of both Peggy Evers and Yvonne Quinlan.
Because, yes.
Yvonne returned, she was out for several days after having surgery on her foot. I think you probably all know by now it was cancerous. And they had to go very deep. It was a growth that had gone up into her foot. And they had to go very deep to take it out. We wanna credit, Paula Olson for ably assisting with day-to-day programs. I'm afraid you're gonna talk about that in a minute.
Yes, I will.
And we need to credit too we had a program here a little over a year ago, the wound clinic that had just opened up at Morton Hospital. We had a program here, and poor Yvonne, she had gone to podiatrist, her own doctor, and she wasn't getting anywhere. One person said it was just, a bump. One person said it was just like what do you call it?
Onion.
A bunion or a callus or something like that. The woman who was very nice from the wound clinic, she's the nurse in charge there. Yvonne said, I should ask her. I said, it can't hurt, go. So she asked her about it. And the woman looked at her foot and made an appointment for her. And that started the procedure that led to her having a biopsy and having surgery. So sometimes it works really well, these programs, and she's living proof of it. And she was laid up, I think, for 4 weeks because it wasn't healing right in the beginning because they wanted her to walk on it. She was in a boot. And being in a boot and walking on it, it was putting pressure on it, so it wasn't healing that great. Then they told her to put her foot up, and that seemed to work better. Finally, it healed, and
She's
no
like
pain.
back to new.
Yeah, no pain, no issues. She's been discharged by the doctor, doesn't have to go back, and so everything worked out really well. So we gotta thank the wound clinic for that.
But
And-
as she said, the first doctor who looked at it, just looked at it and said, don't worry
Yeah,
about
it's
it.
nothing.
Okay,
So if you have to pursue, especially
Yes.
if you're elderly,
Yeah,
Mhm.
they just say, oh, she's old enough,
Yeah, she's old, she's just old.
Kathleen Roberts told me a story about that, she used to have those things on her face. And I think one of the last times she went to the doctor, it said, well, you're 90, whatever years old.
That's
So
terrible.
she said, don't matter, I want it taken care of. She pushed them and they, obviously she had the surgery again, but.
You have to push,
Yeah.
pursue it.
on your face.
And then there's the Peggy Evers surgery.
Hand and
Peggy
foot.
Evers- Hand and foot,
Hand and
hand and
foot.
foot. We got all the little pieces covered here. Yeah, Peggy, as you know, when she's progressing well after the problem, and no time lost with clients, so everything went fine with that too. Enos Medical is gonna come back in July. Diane DeRosa is coming both in July and September. As you know, she's with the company that offers a free pair of shoes to diabetics. If they qualify, 1 pair of shoes a year and 3 inserts. And we are planning on, as the months go by, having regular meetings and fittings for people to come in. We had, I think, 3 or 4 people the last time. And, it's going along good. She's gonna be coming in, I think, this week to do a fitting for somebody. Cast Week, we just went and did Cast Week, reading to the kids at school. We had 3 new seniors this time sign up who had a ball. They had a great time and they wanna come back next year. So that was good. We had 3 new people. The old kids band, we had more than 40 people here. Bless you.
Thank you.
We had more than 40 people here on Thursday to see the band, and this was their only concert of the year. The building, we're gonna have a top to bottom cleaning of the building scheduled for July 1st, and it's gonna be paid in the new fiscal year. This will give me a chance to reiterate my concerns that I have about some of the problems I've addressed with them over the past year. There have been some instances I haven't been pleased with how things were done. And in fact, I've taken pictures of the things that I'm not pleased with and sent it to them. And I'm taking more pictures so that I can sit with the owner of the company and at the time of this cleaning, excuse me, and talk to him about those issues which I want to get resolved. That's, July, as I said, July first. The Eagle Scouts, they wanna do, this possibility, I'm talking to them and their parents, their mothers, about, working on the bocce court that's already being used to groom it, and to rebuild a second bocce court. It's two different Eagle Scouts. In fact, he contacted me, Friday, and I told him what needs to be done in the court that's already being used, weeding, spreading of stone, and he's interested. He was gonna come and see it over the weekend to see, what, he was gonna have to do with it.
What happened to the town? I thought they were supposed, a couple of meetings ago, you said
I know,
they told you they were gonna take care of it,
they did,
which
and
they
didn't.
never did.
Nope,
Well, it needs to be rolled.
I
It
know.
needs to be weeded, raked, and then rolled.
Mhm.
So they gotta have a roller.
Yeah, the
Well,
roller.
it's not gonna,
Is
that,
it still there? There was a big roller inside the court.
I don't know
Or
now.
maybe it's in the, it's
It
right
could,
near the
it could
shed.
be, it
But
could
the
be.
kid is, 17 years old, so he certainly could do it.
Does he know how to build the sides for it?
That's the other Eagle Scout.
Oh, right.
There's two Eagle Scouts, and they do know how to build the sides.
Oh,
They've got
okay.
they've got the, plans,
Oh,
which we had
cool.
here, for the building of it.
I thought we were supposed to get one from the Italian club,
Portuguese Club,
Portuguese club, whatever happened.
they took the sides down and brought them over, and then they never rebuilt it. They never came down to rebuild it. And the wood, we had to throw the wood away, because the wood rotted.
Oh, it was that bad, wow,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, they brought the wood was much thicker and taller,
Yeah.
and they brought it in and said they were gonna rebuild it, and we waited, and Fred McCarthy, who, you know,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Fred McCarthy was in touch with them, and he stayed in touch with me, and finally he came to me, it was like last October, and said, they're not gonna do it.
Cause these boards are dead. You can't
Yeah.
play the boards on the one that's out there now. If you try to play the boards like a pool shot, it hits the board and stops.
Well,
There's no
they can rebuild
bounce
that
to
stuff
it,
too.
you don't
Because
get the bounce.
they get the wood, they're getting the wood, free from loan, because they're doing other projects in town.
Okay.
They're doing,
I don't know if
the
there's
veterans-
special woods for bocce courts that, you know, allow you to play the, if you go to a real,
Yeah.
like the one at the Italian club or the Portuguese club, they got,
The wood
it'll
that came
give
from the
you-
Portuguese club didn't look any different from
well,
ours.
it's probably old and untaken care of, but, okay. Alright,
Right.
so and they're gonna do this every week, they're gonna roll it and weed it and,
Until they go to college, yeah, throughout the summer.
yeah, sounds good.
Because
Well, it
they
looks
needed,
good on paper, looks like,
they needed some, they're doing stuff for the veterans, memorial at the town hall. And they're also doing, different walking areas.
Hi, guys.
See you, man.
Bye-bye. The different walking areas
Mhm.
in the town, they're putting up,
Yeah, that's good.
the paths.
Yeah.
They're doing the paths and putting up the siding. Because they're able to get the wood too. The singers, will continue throughout the summer based on input from those in attendance, and sadly, one of the singers, Sandy Martin, passed away a few weeks ago, and, I wrote Nancy and sent her a,
Jim, help me out, I can't preach.
she's
Me
kind of
neither.
a heavy woman
Me
with
neither.
reddish hair and
Was it in the
glasses.
Gazette?
Yes,
Then I
The
saw,
red, the redhead?
I did see it.
heavy woman with
Real heavy?
glasses, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
The one who's always coughing real loud?
maybe.
Could have been her.
And,
'Cause she had a cough like, wow.
I sent
always-
Nancy her information from the Open, she's gonna bring her.
I thought I saw that in the Gazette. I kept looking
You
at the
probably
picture,
did.
looking at the picture, saying, that woman looks familiar,
And,
but you couldn't tell she had red hair, and the
Yeah.
picture was black and
I
white
should
on
mention
mine.
too, we lost, one of the people who was with her husband, was one of the first people who was a regular, they were regular attendees at the movies, Alice Parsons. And Alice used to sit right in front of me with her husband, and, nicest couple you'd ever wanna meet. They were so nice, they used to bring us cases of the little cans of soda, so we could pass out during lunch in a movie. And really nice, and she was diagnosed with cancer in January, and she passed away, at the end of last month. And, I'm sorry, the end of April. And they were really a nice couple, they were very quiet and came to the movie, and Albert would eat anything. I loved Albert, he would eat anything. And, we lost them, and then Kathy Piva, who you know is our, one of our tax people, her son collapsed and died of a heart attack on Mother's Day night.
She lost her husband.
She lost her husband a few years
Oh,
ago.
that's awful.
She lost her other son, her only other child, 3 years ago. And this was her only remaining child.
my
She lost him, he was 53. He had a massive heart attack.
Oh, that's
He always looked after her. She lives in East Taunton, a little house in East Taunton, and he lives somewhere in Taunton. He would bring her coffee in the morning. You know, Kathy is very mobile. He would bring her coffee in the morning, visit her at night, and he'd have dinner with her often. And he was taking care of her because she had neck surgery recently, and he was looking in on her and taking care of her, making her dinner. And it was very sudden, and so we lost. Kathy lost him. Me, the oldest member of my family who's living in this part of the country, fell and broke a hip a week ago Sunday.
Uncle so-and-so.
Fell and broke a hip a week ago yesterday, and as you know, hip surgery, it's not just hip surgery, it's the length of time it takes for a hip to be done, the surgery and the anesthesia. And as we all know, the woman's 88 years old, as we all know, anesthesia can have an adverse effect on the elderly, and that is what's happened.
She's forgetful.
No,
No.
she's combative.
Oh my,
Well, thrown out of life
dementia.
care. She was thrown out of life care for trying to punch the victim, and she was throwing things. And now she's back at, she was taken back Saturday to Good Samaritan, and they're trying to find a geriatric psych unit to put her in, to at least get some medication that works. And Life Care will accept her back if her case, because she needs to do rehab somewhere, and most of the geriatric psych facilities are not equipped to do hip rehab. So they want to get her stable with medication so she can go back. Life Care's already said they will take her back if she can be stabilized from the dementia that obviously is related to these. So we're dealing with that right now. So I couldn't.
They are finding that
So far, I
out.
haven't gotten any phone calls this morning.
Anesthesia.
So I've been working with my family and my extended family because now it's hurry up and do stuff fast, you know. We're dealing with attorneys right now to move her forward, and I don't think she needs, we're not doing guardianship at this point, we're just trying to deal with, she lives in housing. We're trying to deal with housing when we have to get her out of there. June's rent is already paid, and also the things that will move on from there. And so, as you can imagine, it's very cumbersome for everybody at this time. And, we hope that, I'll tell you something, Mara is the only person I know who had to go into surgery and came out exactly the same as she was, because Nancy's mother, same issue. Her mother went to have her ankle and her foot done, and came out, same thing, dementia, induced by the.
Wow. Well, on a positive senior note, last week my mom celebrated her 92nd birthday.
Oh, yeah.
She still lives independently. Fortunately, about a year and a half ago, I got the car keys away from her and the car. But
So far,
she-
so good.
she likes,
Amazing.
and she lives on the second floor.
Oh.
I go up those stairs, so an old 3-tenement home in Florida. I go up those stairs and I'm. She refuses to live on the first floor. She lives, the 3-tenement is owned by my brother-in-law and my sister. She refuses to live on the first floor unless he puts bars on the windows.
Yeah, that-
And he said, "Mom, I'm not putting bars on the window." So she lives on the second floor.
wow.
So, a
Good.
good
Good
news
news.
story.
That's
And
really
relatively speaking, I mean, she has all the problems you'd expect a 92-year-old to have, but she gets around with a cane and she can do her thing.
She's doing better than you are, right?
Yeah. Forgets a lot and asks the same question many times, but hey, so do I. Anyhow, all right, I'm sorry.
Okay,
Yeah.
end of summer pizza party sponsored by Long Meadow on August 30th. It's the first party that we've had to end the summer. First time we've done it, and they've offered to do it. They're also sponsoring the July Ice Cream Social, and the Bristol County Sheriff's Department is sponsoring the August Ice Cream Social. And we're going to be doing some of the talking to them, people about the phones again. Remember the phones we did in 911? It's the only, remember they were passing out phones?
Oh, yeah,
That's
there's
all it does, is, it's a flip
Oh,
phone, it
it's
just
just
does 911,
911? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Is this, are these parties for, Raynham citizens only?
Yes,
And that's all three of them?
yes.
Okay.
Foxwoods trip is going in July. The number of people signed up has remained at the same level we need to run the trip.
How many is that? I don't know, that's out of curiosity.
56.
Wow.
56. Senior Day, we have 52 residents signed up for the chicken barbecue sponsored by Life Care. It's free to Raynham residents only. There's a waiting list of 18 people, which went up to 26, I'm understanding. Entertainment by Dave and Marcia Burbank. The annual report and formula grant, we'll be starting work on this in the next few weeks, as soon as the information is sent by the state, which is, you know, they're still trying to figure out why they screwed up the $60,000, but, we're not worried. Ed Flanagan, under the SAFE program, Ed has been creating programs for outreach and programming to chart clients and attendance. Peggy has already input her information about the client base and can access a variety of reports, which is gonna help both of us deal with those, reports that we need to file with the state. And he upgraded you the other day, didn't he?
Well, he came in, he's back from Arizona, I think it is, and I had finished entering everybody into it, and he asked me if there was anything that I'd like to change, and a couple of things he tweaked for me, which made it better.
One of the things was
He's still-
we put in, did he change the contact, emergency contact? He was supposed to put that number in.
No, because I don't have emergency contacts for a whole mess of
Really?
No, I don't,
We probably need to
because,
get those, cause he changed my reports, my entries, my input entries, so that I could have an emergency contact for all programs.
it's kind of important, and
Yeah,
I should have been
probably
collecting. I
should.
have children who come, and
Yeah.
I know who the kids are usually, and I
This-
put their number in.
This emergency contact is for people who are in the who come
Yes.
to participate?
Yes,
Oh,
That's
good,
for you.
good.
that's for me, I
Mine
think
would
you
be
should have it
son or
for your
daughter or
clients, yeah.
closest
Because I was gonna bring
relative.
that up on the new business. What happens
Yeah.
if, how
Yeah.
do we know who to call?
Yeah,
It's
we've,
good.
Ed's put a totally computerized form together for us to pull reports from. And one of the things it was emergency contact number and emergency email number, so
Okay,
in case we needed it.
we discussed that at our last executive meeting. For the safety of the people who come here,
Mhm.
we will need to keep a record of anybody who comes in, their address, their phone number, next of kin's phone number. So that we can,
Well,
like
their
you say,
emergency contract would be
yeah,
there.
that would be it.
Yeah, cause some people don't have family, right, it would have to be an emergency contact, which could be anything, it could be a neighbor, it could be anybody.
Right, well, we said.
But do we have information on the people themselves that come here? Like I come here for singing. Do you have my name, address, telephone number, email address, and
If you
emergency?
gave it to us when you first came in.
I was never asked to give it to me when I first came in. That's why we discussed this at the last meeting. Everybody that comes through that door to participate in the
Right.
program, we should have their names, address, all that information,
Emergency
Well,
plus.
you said it's everybody
Plus
who's
an
any of the
emergency.
programs.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I know it's not a physical program, but singing is a program. so
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
no,
one
it's
of the
anybody, I mean, you
programs.
could,
They
you
can
One
could
of
just
the
as easily
programs
fill out
offered.
in the program.
The card players, the painters, singing.
The breakfasts, even that.
Anyway, because you never know.
Remember
Life
that
is
swipe
quirky.
thing that we used to talk about when they would come in, they'd swipe?
Yeah, the one that doesn't have.
Sometimes that will give you their information.
I know, but Peggy, the
I
problem
know, it
with
was
that is,
expensive.
it was expensive and they didn't keep up the software.
Oh,
So
bad,
the software, so eventually you couldn't use it.
it's bad, yeah.
When you had new people come in, it wasn't kept up to date, the swipe cards. So we're much better doing it, having them do it physically, signing here, doing it that way, and then inputting them.
So
Sure.
you have a form?
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah. In
We'll
fact, I
take
could-
some for the singing
I
today.
could print out what he gave me.
All right, we'll take some for the singing today, okay?
Yeah.
Because you should have it, what do you do?
Yeah. Tim McCray, he's the new Park and Rec director, and he wants to continue working on projects with us and programs, and he's looking into getting the pavilion we talked about over the, at least one of the tables out there. And we're also looking at the trees near the bocce courts. I'm sorry, Peggy, but I was looking out at one of those trees last week, and it's got this enormous hole, rotting hole that I can see, and so Brian Glavin has to look at these trees.
That's the one I parked my car under to
Yes.
play bocce. Don't take that tree down.
I would
We
love.
will have no shade on that bocce court
I-
at all. Come on.
I'd rather have you have no shade than have a tree drop on somebody. or
It's
on
not
your
gonna
car.
drop on anybody in the summer.
Just as
It's
a
gonna
side-
come down, it's gonna come down in the winter time.
Tim McCray, when I was Park and Rec, on the board there, he worked for us part-time, after school.
Mhm.
He did
That's what he
various
said.
jobs for us and
That's
so
what he
forth, so
said.
he's gone full circle.
Yeah, he was assistant in Falmouth.
Was there?
Very recently before he came here. He was the assistant in Falmouth. He was there a few years. I think, I'm not sure how many. He was there a
Yeah,
few
he
years.
set up a computer for me there when we were still doing everything with
By
paper
hand.
and pencil back in the late nineties.
And a man and his daughter visited me and visited him from Lakeville about starting our long-awaited pickleball effort on the tennis courts next to the building. We were working with the stripes you put down and you take up again. He wants to have it painted, so he's talking to Tim about getting it painted. Because their program in Lakeville, which Tim knows about, is, I think they have 53, 54 people in it, playing pickleball. And these two people have been teaching over there.
He's gonna paint, how is that gonna affect the tennis lines?
Well, it'd be a different color.
I was gonna say usually, but they
They're
do
yellow.
double, they do a different color, so you can tell.
They're yellow.
Okay.
Because they've, in the past, when they've had,
Michael Halen, I'm on the Falmouth Rec Committee, and all the new courts we do in Falmouth have both colors. So the tennis courts are the regular white lines,
Yeah,
and pickleball they use yellow and red. So
It's common to have multiple colors.
Yeah.
on different
they did it with
courts, yeah.
basketball.
there is some pushback
I
from
was
the
just
tennis
gonna say,
players.
There's gotta be some,
Tennis players have a little bit of pushback, but all the stuff that we do now, we just did a bunch of sports courts, and even the sports courts that have that it's not asphalt, it's a plastic stuff.
right.
The same idea. They come pre-made, so then, and actually in Falmouth, we're getting a lot more pickleball players than tennis players. So, yeah.
Okay.
That's good, thank you.
Senior Law Project, Shelley Crowell's coming next Monday with the Law Project. We're still taking sign-ups. It's a free program, and it's basically gonna be about protecting your home, the financial exploitation you might meet with, and seeking and using long-term care. She has done this before under the aegis of the Mass Bar Association, which got to us too late to do anything, so she's gonna be doing it with handouts that she's produced, doing the same topics that she handled with that. Aerobicize, a second class of aerobicize, which was just going on in here, it's been added on Tuesdays at 11:30. We'll also be adding a second yoga class on Fridays beginning in October to meet the demand we've been having.
Well, that's great.
And you can read the different things that are gonna be going on, including, Murder on the Orient Express is a movie this month.
Good.
Motion to accept the director's report.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Correspondence, we have a letter here. Dear Grace, this is to advise you that June will be the last month that I'll be performing the secretary position. I feel that I haven't been able to perform my duties in the position properly due to health issues and outside commitments. I still plan to remain on the board. Pat Rank.
oh, speaking of that, by right, after the annual town election, we're supposed to go through and all departments are, and reorganize, I guess
That's
is the
right.
term they use.
I was gonna bring
Get
that
somebody
up.
new for each position.
Well, you don't have to have anybody new, I mean, you can keep the same way it is.
I
But
think
this presents a difficult problem. Let me see who volunteers to be the secretary.
Secretary, and who would like to be the chair. We should
I-
have rotation.
I was gonna say, how many Grace is the chair.
I'd like to nominate you
Yeah,
because
that's what
I
I
think you do
figured
a
you were
great
gonna
job.
say. I don't have a problem if we wanna do that. And my concern is I mean, we're already at a position where we're at a point where no one wants to be the treasurer, so she's doing
And
it.
now the secretary.
Now the secretary,
Well,
It's very
you did
difficult
a long
being
time.
a
Do you wanna,
secretary
do you
or
wanna wait
treasurer.
and see if your other two board members come in?
yeah, sure.
Yeah,
why
so
don't I
put
do-
that on
but-
hold.
Or do you wanna name them the secretary without
Yeah,
them
if they're
being
not
here?
here, don't choose.
Oh, I've been
every-
elected a couple of
I was
times,
gonna
missing the meeting.
In every
I've
club that I
learned up in
belong
this-
to, if you didn't show up,
You've been
you
elected.
got
You
elected.
were it.
You got that right.
But
Yeah,
anyway,
that sounds like.
yeah,
a
let's
good
make
idea.
sure we put it on the agenda for next month.
Well,
Okay.
next month, we probably
We don't-
will not be having
Will
a
not be
meeting.
here.
Oh.
September.
September.
At least September.
September, okay.
Generally, it was September
That we had
when we would
elections.
Yeah.
re-elect.
The only reason I mentioned it, because we just did it on the planning board, right after the election.
I think in the bylaws, it tells you that we should have a rotation every 2 or 3 years. I think
Mhm.
it's 3 because
Mhm.
you're reappointed every 3rd year.
Oh, yeah.
I use that quote you
I mean, I gave a lot of thought to this. I've been wanting to do this for months.
I know, and we appreciate what you've done up to this point. It is a lot to ask, I understand
Well,
that.
read you a
I just have
historical.
two things going on, but I'm not complaining about that.
Whatever
Between
it
that
was,
and all the
right.
sciatica problems and everything.
It's nominated, or will
You know,
not,
I don't feel
if
right
elected or.
about doing that.
They did, nobody mentioned it, because I knew they were asking me.
It's a
to
difficult
secretary
job,
that.
I
You did
know.
it for quite a while.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
I
did.
give Grace
This is
credit
another
for doing it as long as she did, but.
Well,
That's not
you do it, but you can only do so much and then you say it's time.
Yeah, I've just got
Hand
some
it
other
over
things
to
that I
some-
do, you know. That,
All right,
Okay.
we'll deal with it see you in September.
All right, Pat, we accept your resignation as secretary
thank you,
Reluctantly,
reluctantly.
With regret.
thank you.
thank
With
you.
regrets is another word.
Okay, old business encumbrances.
It looks like, as you know, at the end of the fiscal year, sometimes we have to encumber money to pay for late bills. I spoke to David Grab, and it looks like last year we encumbered some money we didn't have to use. We only had one encumbrance because the bills came in on time, and the first 2 warrants in July, by statute, can be used to pay bills from the previous year, and that's what happened. So I'm encumbering money, I'm speaking to David, I'm gonna encumber some money, like 500 for Walmart, and the rest is small, 100 from Demoulas's, the Verizon bill, which is traditionally late, 35, Ready Refresh, which is the water, and Comcast, it comes to under $1,000. And I'm just gonna make him aware of it, cause some of these bills, particularly, Demoulas, Verizon, and Comcast come in late in the month. But I don't think we're gonna have to be concerned about encumbering anything, because I think they'll all be done by that second week.
What about the people teaching those bills? They're
That's a
not getting-
revolving account,
Yeah, it's a
and
different,
so I don't have to
doesn't come from
be
the town
concerned
budget,
with that. Yeah.
self-supporting.
Yeah, so I don't have to be concerned about that, but these bills, going over last year, it was okay, so.
Good job as treasurer.
Ah,
Yeah,
I'm not treasurer, I don't know.
well, you're on top of stuff.
So I don't think we're gonna have any encumbrances if we do, you know.
Are any of it caused by those late payment of bills that we were
Any
talking
of
about?
this?
Any of the reasons that we don't get them paid in the year that they were supposed to? Like the big bill you just said was
The-
$500,
the Walmart?
Had that been paid on time, did we not have to come up for it?
No, I
No,
mean,
okay.
I went over them, if they get paid on time, yeah, we'd have to encumber if they didn't get paid on time, but what I looked at the time of the month all the bills come in, and everything except the revolving account money, the revolving account bills, for the vendors, everything else is generally in my hands by about the 10th of the month, except that Verizon bill. But everybody's in the same boat because it comes out of the selectman's office.
Right.
And I usually don't get it till the beginning of the next month, so sometimes later. But looking at the dates they come in, everything is pretty much in my office by the 10th of the month.
Just curious.
A lot of these come out the very first day of the month, you know, I might get them, you I don't think we're gonna have any issues, just like last year, because except for Walmart and Comcast, everything else is what we've had. Everything else is what we use.
Okay, do we have any other discussion?
Well, I got something on it's not old business because it wasn't discussed here, but, Colonel Dave's presentation on what to do to help people wasn't as, they had somebody from the sheriff's department come up and give us, they had a presentation, what was the name of it? Something to do, what to do if you find somebody in
Yeah.
distress or hurt at an accident or whatever. It lasted 2 hours. It could, what he said in 2 hours, he could have said in 45 minutes, because he kept repeating the same thing over and over and over, and it was very, very technical. And everybody that was sitting there, with the exception of myself, who had training in that as a police officer, just sat there shaking their head like, what?
Okay.
He was way above everybody's head. It was not geared down to people that had no experience.
Okay.
So just to let you know, just to
Where was he
report.
from?
He was from the sheriff's department. His name is Dave.
Colonel David.
David something. He's got a resume that, no, I'm not gonna say it's not. Anyway, it's beyond, it's like 3 pages long, and
So he knows a lot.
no,
Oh,
but anyway,
Whatever.
the resume says so. But anyway, but it was again, everybody, it was myself and like 6 women.
Okay.
I think it was only 7 of us that attended, and after they were like, this is, I didn't understand the thing he was saying, and plus he told 1,000 war stories about himself, and it's like, you know, come on, let's go. But, okay.
Okay.
Just to let you know, just an FYI. He did do a thing, he passed out a thing for the rating, to give us a chance to rate what he said, you know, one of those questionnaires.
I'll bet you he was pleased to see yours.
No name on it, he said, please don't put your name on it, I'm like,
I think he probably guessed.
You could probably give that talk.
well,
just gonna
I'm
say
not,
you have
I'm not saying I could,
Well,
I'm just saying the way he presented it, even with the slides and everything, was a little way too technical.
Yeah.
And if he said the word call 911 one more time, my head was gonna explode. So it was basically what he could have said was, if you find somebody doing this,
Call
this, and this,
911.
call 911.
Right.
Have a nice day, it's been really nice talking to you folks. But it went on and on and on and on and on and on, yeah.
Do we pay for that?
And now, I mean, they want you to drag and move people. He was
I
talking
saw
about
that
dragging
under
people.
a car, a
And
guy.
yeah, under a car.
I wouldn't move anybody.
We were trained, you don't
Never.
touch anybody,
They
because
could
if
have a
it's a
neck, yeah.
spinal injury, you're gonna kill them.
Well,
You
exactly.
leave them where you find them, and let the.
What did he say, you're supposed to put them under a car? or-
No,
No,
pull
they
them,
were found.
pull them from under a car.
But that
But
car
the-
was on fire, so.
Well,
this-
they
you know, you
rolled
kinda
the car
have to-
over, a bunch of people jumped in, you know, it was
Waiting for coffee
like
and they
news,
saw it.
news film.
Wow.
I mean, some of the cases, you probably had to, but there were a lot where
Yeah.
you know, we were always, you never touch anybody, especially if,
Sounds like
I mean,
somebody
if
been
they're-
watching
if
too
they're
much
conscious-
NCIS.
yeah, really, I mean, it was, okay, anyway, move on. Let's
Thank
move
you
on.
for your input.
Let's move on.
That's it for old business. We have, okay, the new business?
Okay, the COA meetings, we're doing none in July and August, right?
We
That's
discussed
confirmed.
it, we didn't vote on it.
Yeah, we need to
Okay.
vote on
I'll take
So
a
you
vote, I make a
confirm that?
motion, we don't have in June, and July and August.
Okay.
All in favor?
it. Aye.
But those one hand, Grace, one.
Won't be here anyway.
Okay.
That's it, nobody will.
Okay.
Okay, capital planning. For interior painting and exterior siding, I contacted David Flaherty and Brendan Loftus of capital planning about these 2 items. I hope to be able to go to fall town meeting with them. Too many on the list are at the sheriff's department for interior painting. And so David has offered to help with the quotes or the bids. It looks like something, we can get both of them on the town meeting. I have to meet with Brendan though and see what he thinks. I contacted him, waiting to hear from him. But David's gonna help with the quotes and the bids, obviously. You know, it's probably something that we could have done. I mean, how long does it take to put siding on?
The siding on the,
Siding.
are you talking about the outside?
Yeah.
With
This
a
building,
crew.
probably with a crew, probably a day and a half.
Day,
Okay.
day.
Well, with a big crew, yeah, I mean, I've seen it done real quick,
Okay.
but, yeah, fine. The only thing I'll caution you on, you were at the annual town meeting,
Yes.
all right, there'll be a lot of scrutiny as to when articles get submitted.
Mhm.
Okay, supposedly, somebody is coming up with what's the ground rules, how many weeks before do you have to have it in and so forth.
I
Because
thought
as
you-
you know, 3 articles were pulled
Right.
because they weren't put in by February 10th,
I thought I thought the fall town meeting is considered a special town meeting,
yeah.
and then it's only 14 days?
Well, yes, that's what the speak, but my
Yeah.
point is, be cognizant of that, because you don't wanna get caught where they say, oh, you can't do this here.
Right, okay.
You know,
Because I would guess that at the annual town meeting, the sewer and the school department budget were probably the only things that were submitted by February 10th. Everything else could have been thrown out if you wanted to make a case of it, which says you wouldn't get paid after this month, and the fire department wouldn't, and the police department wouldn't. That's why
You know what I
no one
wanna
made an
do?
issue of it.
You know what I want, well, I'll tell you what I want to do later, I'm not gonna say it on camera. Yes.
You should also look into insulation in that attic. A lot of the heating bills got to do, you've gone upstairs in the
Right.
winter. I mean, it's like
Freezing.
walking into
To the
Antarctica
refrigerator
up there.
Yeah.
There is no insulation up there. That wind whistles through that whole attic upstairs. And, you know, if they could, I mean, I had MassSafe come and they just put 5 more inches of stuff, blew it in for like $200 or something.
Will they do that for municipal?
I don't know.
Why not?
They came to my house too.
They just loaded it up.
Call them. All they can do is say no.
All they can do, but I'm
They
telling
can't
you,
take
it's
away your
cold,
birthday.
it's cold up there.
Yeah, it is, I've
And
been up
hot.
there many times.
And hot in the summer, so your air conditioning unit up there, well, not the unit up there, but the furnace or whatever, it's in that heat up there.
Alright.
Okay.
Does anyone else have anything to add?
Motion to adjourn.
Before we adjourn, I would like to remind everybody, we gave out the guide for board members, and I think people should really read it, because unless you read it over a few times, and one of the things was about monitoring the budget, and it tells you, let's see. You should be satisfied that expenses and revenues are in sync with the budget, and it goes on and on, but they wanna know in advance, ensure that annual state funds are expended prior to the end of the fiscal year. And as John has said before, we have all this excess that we don't do anything with.
Right, but we're gonna get, like I mentioned in my report, we've only got $6,000, and, that we would turn back to the town from our town money, and I think that's a very healthy figure to have for the month of June.
I think
So we've got one more month to come out of
Yes.
the 6,000,
Yeah.
yeah, so this year is unusual, because usually we have a lot more money
Right,
to pay back in.
What we did this year, we haven't done in the past years, for example, the Christmas party, we paid for that. You know, there were some other things we paid for this year, that had to do with programming that we hadn't done in the past, and we had a couple of things that we needed to pay for example, we're gonna have a little expense tomorrow, because the sink on Friday, the sink in the floor of the janitor's closet was, a problem, because it filled up, and it gets the, dripping, from the air conditioning system in there. It also gets the buckets, you know,
Yeah, they empty the buckets in
from
it.
the, yeah.
Clean.
So it was about that far from the edge, and so, Friday afternoon, I went in there and drained it. But I need a new steel, thing in there to, mesh,
Sure.
steel thing in there. So they're gonna come tomorrow, they build me one, the plumber builds me one and installs it in there for me. Because, you know, with all the crap that goes in there and the chemicals and stuff, it lasts about 6 months.
Oh, so
if that.
it clogs that trap, is that what it is?
Yes,
That's
so
what
they're
goes on?
coming in tomorrow, it's still flowing into the system out there. It's still flowing fine, but they're coming in to take care of it for me tomorrow and put a new trap in, so that's gonna be an expense. And, you know, we've had a couple of things, I forgot what it was, the vents, remember when we had some of the vents extended? It was something like $1,300 earlier this year. So we had, so you know, you have costs, it's an old building, and you have things, but I think, so this 6,000 is a very healthy amount, and what I think we were all pointing towards. I mean, there have been months and years in the past where we've sent back 15,000, you know, 10,000, 6,000 will get us through the next month, and if we turn back anything, it will probably only be a couple of thousand, because the other thing we do is we order a lot of supplies. When we know we have that money, we know we're you know, how much we have, like the 6,000, we'll be ordering cups and you know, toner and things we're gonna need anyway
Just
to
don't
end the
order
fiscal
urinal
year.
cakes.
The what?
Don't order urinal cakes.
No, God, no.
We have enough for the rest of our lives.
Oversupply.
Yeah, I need you to recount those for me, by the
Yeah,
way.
right.
Oh,
The only reason I mention this is because every year we usually have a big carryover.
Yes,
Right.
yes, we
And
usually do.
we don't wanna have a big carryover.
No,
We
no.
want to use what is,
Yes, and particularly this year, because for the next fiscal year, we've asked for more money. We asked for about $3,000 or $4,000 more, because there were some accounts where we came very close to running out. And, so we asked for, I think, 3,000 or 4,000 more in recreation, in, heating, and electricity, and, in building maintenance. So, we asked for more for next year, so we're looking very good, I think, with that 6,000 figure.
okay, that's good. Well, that's the only reason I mentioned it, that I really think every board member should read that guide several times, because every time you read it, you learn something else.
Yeah, a few years ago, you had brought that up and we went through it, but, you weren't on the board, you weren't on the board, you weren't on the board at the time.
And the
Feeling
other
old.
two were not, you know.
But, I am old.
Well, you're catching up to your mother, right?
The other thing I wanted to mention was the executive meeting that we had. I wondered if there were any repercussions from
On the actions that we
the
took.
actions that we took.
No, not that I know of. Everybody, seemed to be, the players received the
Copy of
Well,
the,
the
copy.
unfortunately, they signed off on it and then didn't retain them. They passed them back in, which I was hoping that they would keep them.
You know, I dropped the ball in that executive session. I volunteered to get a copy of those made in a larger form that we could post on the wall. I will take care of that this week.
I have
I'll get
two
them to you.
posted, there's two posted, well, there's two things posted on the outside as you walk in the bulletin board. One is that, the other one's the disclaimer that the lawyer has done for us. The disclaimer involves being in different programs and how it absolves us and the vendor of any liability.
Uh-huh.
And they're both posted out front, but if you could make a bigger copy of that too, I'd appreciate it.
Sure, well, I'll
Yeah,
have to
we
get
can
that
take
before I
it.
leave today, but, yeah, it's, so it's
Yeah,
publicly displayed.
but no, I didn't hear anything. Everybody seemed to have,
Did that one, did you come back?
she came back to us. I asked her not to come back to that card game. And,
Oh, she's not coming back to the card yet?
no,
one.
not to that
Not to
one.
that
She's coming to
particular one.
WISP. I asked, I'm going to take this. I asked her to, I asked her when she called me that day to apologize. She said, I'm wondering if you'll ever let me come back if you know, you're banning me. And I said, I don't want to ban you. I said, but I think you and I both know you can't play in that game anymore. And she said, I understand that. And she said, and I'm
Family
totally in
dynamics are
agreement.
too
Yeah,
tough.
she said, I understand that totally, and she says, I'm in total agreement with that. She said, but I'd like to come back and play whist, and I wanna know if you'll let me. And I said, yes. I said, but you know, you can't be in that game.
And she's gotta behave in the whiskey too.
Yeah, oh, she does, she
Throwing
does.
cards is not acceptable.
Actually, whiskey's
And
pretty.
under our code of ethics, I just thought we could have a sign with just the pertinent.
No, I think the entire, in its entirety.
Yeah, but a lot of it has nothing, it's, don't provide sleeping accommodations, packaging
But-
bags and parks.
Well, can I see what you're looking at?
I marked them off.
Packages, bags, and parcels.
I
That's
want to be
because
left in the closet because we don't have room for
You're
them.
leaving
I mean, there's
us?
things that we.
Yep, go set
He's
up.
gonna go sit up.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I really think in its entirety, because I think that if we don't have it in its entirety, and something comes up, somebody can say, well, I didn't know about that. But I just think,
20 inches like that, that too?
I think that's good.
No, that's
When
good.
they sign in, they
Yeah.
have to say they've read it.
And I think that maybe that first, that the title needs to be in red.
Or I was thinking like a
Bigger,
banner
a
above the
banner,
three of them
yeah.
that has the title.
But,
You know, you mentioned before about how we get emergency contacts and so forth, and maybe at the bottom of that form, I have read the
Yes, yeah.
code of conduct,
Yes.
check it off
Yeah.
and so forth.
yeah.
We all have to do it at every doctor's office.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every time you go in.
But I think Grace having it in its entirety is really, because when the lawyer did it, it was to be in its entirety. Even though some of it isn't applicable.
But some of it should be highlighted then, like treat others with courtesy and respect. That should be highlighted. Don't disturb or disrupt individuals' programs or activities. Should be highlighted.
All right, well,
Correct, you know.
let's start with me getting them made, and then if we
Yeah.
wanna highlight, because I don't think I can get
I don't think
Staples
it's,
to
well, it's not
highlight
gonna,
them.
plus it's not gonna come out in the right color anyway. If you wanna, you're gonna get it colored printed, forget it, it's too much. Right.
Yeah.
Well, something.
But yeah, well, we can highlight it ourselves.
We can get a highlighter
Yeah,
into
we
it.
can highlighters.
You know,
Yeah,
we
maybe
can,
that was-
we'll sit here and see what we wanna do. And by the way, just one point, I know, and I'm fully in favor of, you know, not meeting in July and August, but if something comes up, there's nothing that says we can't, as we saw last month, hold a special meeting to deal with it. We don't have to put it off until September.
Right.
So, I mean, you'd know more than before we would if there's a special issue that comes up we have to deal with.
Well, I think,
Call.
well, frankly, I think I'm gonna probably call a special meeting if we do get anywhere with capital planning.
Okay, yeah.
To sit down and discuss our options.
Yeah.
And, by then maybe we'll have some bids and we can look at them. And, you know, talk about it in anticipation of getting on that town meeting.
You still going to go Thursday or?
In anticipation of getting on that town meeting.
Yeah.
So I probably, in August,
Oh, I
we
love
can
it.
meet.
You know, I
You
like
know,
it.
I'll let you know.
You call, we'll,
Yeah.
if we're around,
Yes,
we'll be
we'll
there.
be
Because
there.
that way we can anticipate being on the warrant and we can get our ducks in a row and
Well, I
know
play
what
12
we're
cards.
gonna
I
need
can't
to
play,
say, if
some people
anything,
play 21,
at that
I
meeting.
can't play that.
Okay, so in lieu of the little drummer boy having left, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second, what time is it, 11:45 or 10:45?
I'm taking a vote.
Yeah, we took a vote.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye. I didn't hear it, I didn't get to say it.